had a Mana Confluence as my last land, and I had one more Defiant Strike in hand, and I top decked a Tranquil Cove. Then play to gain a life, and then use my Mana
Defiant Strike. That's impressive.
Strike.
That's some good top decking.
And yeah, you got to play to your outs, man. And that was my out was Tranquil Cove or untapped land.
Sure.
Yeah, otherwise, I was dead. I was untapped plains.
I know we had a talk one time in the shop about a version of this deck that was red-white. And why do you think we're not seeing a red-white version?
Just dice to Drown Sorrow, Anger of the Gods sort of thing.
Just can't protect itself well enough?
Well, it can. I mean, it's playing Phalanx Leader, so, I mean, you can go, if you can target it enough times, you can get out of range of that
Sure.
stuff. But, I mean, this deck is just, the reason the blue-white heroic deck is just so good is just, Ordeal Thassa is just ridiculous.
It's just a good card.
It's a good card.
And I 100% agree with you. I couldn't agree more. I think the card is stellar.
Yeah, so it's a good card. But, I mean, like, there is a reason that you'd want to play the red-white deck is I think is better against Mardu because you're just trying to go wide, and once again it's the same thing we saw with the tokens deck where it
the access to the card pool against them is just
you're just playing a bunch of 1/1s and you got a billion 1/1s.
Sure.
So you're just Crackling Doom and Chain to the Rocks just become terrible cards when you're playing a bunch of 1/1s.
Very true.
So, and for sideboarding here, I think. I know on Josh's side, he's going to bring in 2 Brimazes, which, let me tell you, pretty good. Vigilance make a 1/1.
He's
pretty
a
good against
card.
the I'm going to attack with 1/1s deck. He's bringing in those. He has a Treasure Cruise and a Dig Through Time. He has a Mortal Obstinacy from Journey into Nyx there, which is, if you don't know what it does, it's 1 white. Gives a creature +1/+1. It's an aura. And then if that creature deals combat damage, you can sacrifice the Mortal Obstinacy to destroy an enchantment. So good against Jeskai Ascendancy.
Wow.
He's going to bring in 2 Stubborn Denials. Then what else? So that's how many cards today?
Boy, that card seems super good against even the whip decks.
Yeah.
I mean, super good. Sure. Blow up a whip. Blow up your Courser.
He's going to bring in Erase once again. Same thing for the Ascendancy.
Interesting. So I wonder if Nick really has.
I think Nick's going to turn
a lot to deal with.
Nick's probably going to turn into more of a control deck here.
So this is where he switches to the control version instead of the.
I mean, if he's playing the stock list, he's probably going to be bringing in Glare of Heresies and Hostilities, which is like Josh's sideboarding, thinking Nick's going to bring in those cards, which is why he's bringing in Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise and Stubborn Denials.
Sure. Stubborn Denial, probably one of my favorite cards, if not my favorite card out of Cons.
Yeah,
I love that card. Really cool card. I'm wondering, does Nick bring in the Elspeths or not? Do you just not worry about it? Because I feel like an Elspeth there would have been strong, at least for eliminating the threats, as an addition to end hostilities.
Yeah, he might. It's a good card. I know Josh is probably going to be boarding out. I mean, Nick doesn't know this, but Josh is probably going to be boarding out one of his Aqueous form, and then one of his Stratus Walks. So Aqueous form is pretty good against Elspeth.
That's true.
I think Josh is probably also boarding out his Johnny's Presence.
Okay. Strange.
But see, the issue with Elspeth is Josh is going to have 3 Stubborn Denials after sideboard, and like if you just get you get those cards just kind of, if you have Elspeth and Hostilities just in your hand, and it's hard for you to interact with Favorite Hoplite into Ordeal at that point.
Sure.
So Nick is probably going to be bringing in like Glare of Heresy, Magma Spray, and Hostilities, maybe Elspeth.
Well, this is true. In addition, we were talking about the white-red heroic. It's true. Boros Charm and Madcap Skills have rotated. Madcap Skills being a favored enchantment for the real aggressive green-red aggro decks that saw a lot of play early on.
Yeah.
Madcap Skills, your Fire Drinker Satyr, get you for 5, get you on a Cackler.
Yeah, and then you're also good with just like Madcap Skills, your Glade Cover Scout, and laugh at your opponent, and then they laugh at you when they Devour Flesh you.
Very true. Devour Flesh was also a card, but I feel like the white-red still has access to certain cards. They've got, Desperate Stand, which is a Strive card out of...
Yeah, that card's garbage.
Why do you say it's garbage, though? In a white-red heroic deck, you wouldn't play that?
I think it's garbage because I don't know what it does.
Okay, sure. All right, I can understand that, yeah.
Now, the white-red heroic deck is, like I said, it's just trying to go wide.
Sure.
It's just trying to play like Chrome Crusaders and things that make tokens, and then like launching the fleet with Phalanx Leader and just attacking you with a million tiny little creatures, which I think the Jeskai token deck does better than that deck.
Probably
goes wide.
Yeah.
So.
The addition of blue, once again. I mean, all the Jeskai decks. I'm a big fan. So
here's Josh playing a favorite hoplite into open mana. I don't like this play unless he has like a Defiant Strike.
Sure.
Which Nick isn't even gonna. I just don't like giving my opponent tempo, and Nick kept a 2-lander and is probably now going to proceed to get crushed.
It doesn't seem good. I mean, when the Jeskai deck really gets there, it seems to get there when it has at least 4 to 5 mana. I mean, unfortunately.
Yeah, Josh on the double favorite hoplite plane.
Again.
Yeah.
This is.
Unfortunately, he's not on the Laguna Band Trailblazer because that one's always a good one for your opponents who bring in Magma Spray.
That's the 04.
Yeah, like, I have an 04. Correct. Go. Good luck.
Very true. Very true. So what do we see
here?
here?
Nick's going to Jeskai Ascendancy here.
Taking 2.
I think Josh may have a race in his hand, which is just the blowout.
There it is. The erase. Wow. So Josh with the answers.
Yeah. Josh needs a third land though. He drew the. He has a Defiant Strike, so I would probably cycle that.
Yep. And he's going to get the counter.
Try to hit a land because we're pretty desperate need of.
Swings for 3.
Yeah. 4. Is a Defiant Strike.
So he's down to 13.
So Josh hits his
There's
land.
the land. The Flooded Strain.
Looks like he still has another Defiant Strike in his hand, so this favorite hoplite is still going to live because its heroic it prevents all damage dealt to it.
That is true. Yeah, it's heroic ability. There's the Outburst.
This is going to get stubborn.
Boy, wow.
And if Nick has the old land in hand, it's going, which he probably doesn't since he missed a land drop.
Jeez.
Yeah, the old Force Spike.
That seems brutal. Yeah. Nick down to 12 now.
And if I'm Josh here, I don't fetch. I try to hit another. This
I was about to ask. Do you fetch when necessary? Right? You don't. There's really.
I typically only fetch when necessary. And,
try to cantrip before you fetch.
I try to scry before I fetch. And always.
Sure.
Or I try to scry after I fetch. So I fetch and then I want to scry. I don't want to fetch.
So you're fetching pre-combat if you have something with Aqueous Form on it.
Correct.
Okay.
And also I try not to just willy-nilly fetch. The thinning isn't worth the life in this.
Very true.
If I want it, if I'm flooding, then maybe I'll fetch because like I'm a human being and I want to get lands out of my deck.
Yeah. Yep.
I think it's going to make a difference, but
I'll tell you, you play Miracles once or twice and you're taught to never fetch.
Yeah,
so fetch. You just don't ever fetch.
You just don't fetch, and I typically don't with this deck either. I just try to, like I said, try to keep my life total as high as possible.
There's a Seeker of the Way and a Mana Confluence, so Josh is he's on the roll. I mean, he had the what seemed like a really good opener.
I mean, his opener was just like actually pretty mediocre. Nick I don't know what Nick
floundered.
He kept a 2-lander that just didn't interact. Sure. I just don't understand.
There's a Seeker of his own.
Nick's keep, I think, is just really loose.
Nick down to 8.
Yeah, and Nick's probably just dead here.
I have to imagine
Josh is probably got
untaps with a bunch of cantrips in his hand. What I assume are a bunch of pump spells. There's the attack.
And Nick just doesn't have any good blocks. I mean,
1 red open. No, I mean you're on lower land than the aggro deck is in that.
I think what people don't understand about this the aggro deck is
correct.
You do want lands because
sure
the best play. I mean, like Heliod's Pilgrim is nuts. Card is nuts, and it's super sweet to like go Heliod's Pilgrim, get an Aqueous Form, cast the Aqueous Form, and have God's Willing back.
Sure.
So five lands is pretty good for this deck.
That's what, and like I was saying with the Jeskai Tokens deck, I have to believe 5 lands is good for that deck too. Being able to play a Hordling Outburst and then have the ability to stoke the flames and keep 1 mana up. Like, I feel like these decks that seem like they're low mana cost decks still need to hit their land drops to.
Absolutely, these are not boss slide decks.
They're not. They are not, and that's it.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, just handled.
You can see. Best deck in the format wins.
We were talking about it all night. I mean, it was always in the background. This was the first time we had Josh on camera, but he was undefeated up until this point. And you can see why. I mean, the deck is really aggressive. It really goes at it.
It's good, and like I said, it just preys on the metagame where all the removal spells are 3 mana.
Now, do you think if we were to see a game between the blue-white heroic and the blue-black controlled that Noah Cohen was playing earlier, do you think the game would
be
similar?
absolutely crushed?
Sure.
Because once again, he's just not playing spells that interact with me.
Yep.
Like, go ahead and spend 3 mana to Hero's Downfall something. I'll spend 1 mana to counter it, get a +1/+1 counter, and then scry garbage I don't need to the bottom.
Very true. Very true.
So.
Wow. I mean, you were pretty spot on with the sideboard. We see the Stubborn Denials are in, the extra Defiant Strike, it looks like.
Yeah, he's got the Lugona Band Trailblazers, he's got Triton Tactics for the LOL blowouts as you untap your team
and then eat their team.
Yeah,
sure.
Or once again, just, I mean, they're removing
plus
a bunch
plus
of burn
3
spells.
Yeah,
and
sure.
You
make them big.
As you get a +1/+1
The
counter.
double Burmazes are there, so pretty spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good look at the entire sideboard right there. The Mortal Obstinacy, love it. That's such a good card.
I don't know if it's better than Erase or not, but
I mean, in this situation, I feel like it is. If you're allowing it to,
see, the issue is in this situation you have to connect.
You have to have a creature.
Yeah, and you have to connect.
That is also true. You do have to hit the person, but with Aqueous Form, you're getting there most of the time. With Stratus Walk,
in this situation, he's porting out Aqueous Form and Stratus Walk because they're just kind of.
That is what. Yeah, you did mention that. Interesting.
But yeah, having to connect is kind of the issue, especially when they can just play a bunch of chump blockers.
Yeah. Kind of a damp ending for the Jeskai tokens list that seemed to perform pretty strongly when we had it on camera before. It didn't really burn bright this time. That was a questionable keep, I guess. This game too. I'm not 100% sure that was.
The game 2 keep was pretty loose, and like I said, man, Tom Ross, the guy's a genius.
He is smart. I mean,
token decks
he is the boss.
Comes out 1 week, and then Tom Ross has the perfect sideboard to
just crush it.
Prey on this.
Oh man,
Josh crushed Nick. I crushed Sleewa last night.
Sure. Just the deck's good. If you haven't picked it up, pick it up. It's fairly reasonable to build.
Yeah, it costs like $40.
Okay.
Well, I guess it costs 80. Well, 80. It costs like if you have the lands, it costs nothing.
Sure.
The lands are kind of expensive.
You're playing a lot of commons, uncommons.
Yeah.
Nothing really hefty.
It's the mono blue devotion of this format.
It is. It's a mono blue devotion. Though I will tell you, from pulling orders and from talks I've seen online, people are going back to mono blue devotion. We have.
What casuals are going back to
I'm just saying.
I know something I don't know.
They might. There are people who are playing it again. We have sold the Master of Waves recently. Master of Waves have been selling.
Jeez,
So.
somebody must know something. Is this Reed Duke and Ian Duke
It could be.
Jerry Thompson.
Thompson slamming mono blue. It's very possible. I don't know. I mean, I haven't checked the Versus videos or.
They're gonna reprint Tidebinder Mage or something like that.
It's possible. All right. Well, that's the final round for tonight at FNM here at Nerd Rage Gaming. If you haven't followed us on Twitter, please do. It's at Nerd Rage Gaming 1. You can also look us up on Facebook. Just look up Nerd Rage Gaming. Give us some shout outs. Tell us how we're doing. We're always looking for feedback. You can look me up on Twitter at NRG Druid, DROOD. Matt, you got a Twitter?
No, man.
No Twitter for Matt, so you can't Twitter
Maybe
Matt.
I'll have to get on one.
There you go. Feel free to message me, though.
If I had a Twitter, don't message me.
Just don't message him.
Don't
Don't message him. Message me. I want to hear from you guys.
Don't look me up on Facebook. I'm not going to go change my name.
There you go.
I will block you.
Do not friend him.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're signing off.
Unless you're an attractive female, then
All right.
feel free to friend me on Facebook.
Careful. All right, guys. We will talk to you later and next time when we bring you coverage either from SCG Regionals hosted by Nerd Rage Gaming or another FNM later on in the month. Have a good night.
Peace.